we're going to talk about how to handle a leopard gecko. This is Bertha, if you did not know, aka Big Bertha. She's a beautiful Max Snow Eclipse, and she's so pretty and chilled out. I love her so much, and she's going to be today's mascot for this video. Maybe your gecko at home isn't like this and it's just absolutely hectic and running everywhere. And if that is the problem, then you came to the right place. Maybe you're on the verge of giving up, but don't give up, because I'm here to help. I'm going to help you. You're going to be able to hold your gecko by the end of this video. When they're smaller, they're a lot more fragile and a lot more agile, okay? So Bertha's fully grown. She's been handled a lot, and that's why she isn't running everywhere. Geckos are funny little creatures, and how they act has a lot to do with how they're brought up. Pet stores and farms and mills are the worst place you could buy a gecko from. And if you're wanting a gecko that you can hold that's sort of like just chilled out, I would really recommend getting it from a baby and working with it yourself. So you're building a good relationship with your gecko instead of having to undo everything that the person or the business or breeder has done before. If you come to someone like a hobby breeder or a breeder of a specific animal, that's more than likely where you're going to find the best gecko for you to hold and build a great relationship with. But you've got to remember, each gecko has its different personality, right? I mean, every human does. Geckos are very different individuals. Maybe you've got your gecko right now, you've hit the wall of the gecko's just scared of human interaction, and you've got to work with how much they can handle. It's a long process, but if you want a Bertha, then you've got to work for it. A lot of people do rush their interaction with geckos, and they don't realize how much time it takes. But again, if you get them from a reputable place and a good person that loves their animals, then you really are gonna like save a lot of effort, because 9 times out of 10 them animals will be literally hand tamed when you get them. If you're finding and seeing that the person is struggling to get them out of their cage, or when they've got them they're gripping tightly onto them and they say to you, hold on tight, then at that point I would walk away. Sometimes if the gecko is between a day old and 4 weeks of age, then they're going to be a lot more skittish, and I completely understand that, because it's the animal's instinct, you know. It is a prey item for a lot of predators, and you don't really want to be handling them at that sort of age because their bones are so fragile. So just try and keep handling to a minimum until they get to a decent size that you feel confident and the gecko's confident that you're not going to hurt it. This is basically the steps you're going to follow, okay? We're just going to go over them quickly because it's not complicated and it isn't a long process. The whole thing is a long process, but the steps are simple and it doesn't need to be overcomplicated. And how long it takes differs from gecko to gecko, and obviously how much time you're willing to put in, but also respect the gecko, because some geckos don't want to be handled as much as others, so you've just got to work with them a bit longer. So it all comes down to you being respectful for the animal and you putting your time in, okay? And reading the gecko's body language. Step 1, as I said, open up the enclosures, close the enclosures. Get the gecko used to human interaction, human noise, everything else like that. Maybe it's in a room that's too loud. Take it out, put it in a bit quieter place. Never put it in a place where it's so quiet that it doesn't get any human interaction, because then you're just going to have a gecko that is unsocialized, and an unsocialized gecko is definitely not going to be a tame one. Maybe not put it in the front room where you've got your speakers and your kids are playing with the toys and the dogs are running around. Maybe put it somewhere like in your study, or maybe even in your bedroom or your kids' bedroom, where they're going to be for a few hours of the day, and not every day, and they're not making loads of racket, because at the end of the day the geckos are nocturnal and they need that peace and quiet to feel safe. And obviously no animal feels good in it, no person or animal is going to feel good in an environment where they don't feel safe and they're not able to settle in. So step 1 is make sure they're in the right place. Not too much interaction, but not none at all. The second thing is open up the enclosure 3 to 4 times a day without even interacting with the gecko, getting it used to that sound, getting it numb to that sound so it doesn't feel scared, and leaving your scent in there on a piece of tissue. And how you do that is literally get a piece of tissue, put it in your pocket, and just put it in your pocket and leave it in there for the whole day. Scrunch it up in your hand a few times, get your scent all over it, leave it in there, and then just change it every day or 2. Keep the fresh scent going, and the gecko will then feel really safe, and when it smells you, it isn't going to be a shock to it. It's just going to be like, oh, I've smelt that before, I can carry on being calm. As soon as you get to the stage where the gecko isn't going back into its hide when you're in the room or when you're opening the enclosure, then that's the time when you can, put your hand on the floor, let the gecko walk onto it, feed the gecko by hand, lure the gecko on your hand with a piece of food. Never squish your gecko, never go like over your gecko, always come from in front of it like I said and scoop it up like a little ball. Definitely I would always say scoop up in between their front legs and their back legs. Never hold it by its tail. You'll see some people online, they still do that. I don't understand why they do that. They're just putting the gecko at risk of losing their tail for no reason. The difference between a gecko that wants to explore and a gecko that is trying to get away is a gecko that wants to explore will be moving a lot more calmly and slowly, and a gecko that wants to get away won't be tongue licking like this. It won't be absorbing everything in its environment and taking it all in. It will just be wanting to run away and find a tight little hide. At that point, as I said, put it back in its vivarium and hold it in its vivarium where it feels safe and where it knows it can just go to its hide and feel safe. Now, never pressure your gecko, never force your gecko to do things that it doesn't want to, because it's all about creating a good mentality with your gecko and your gecko having a good mentality towards human interaction. A gecko is never going to be still on your hand. It's still going to want to walk and run. If the gecko is running from hand to hand, then offer your hand, keep going like that, and just let the gecko run on your hand. Over time, it will feel safer and it won't feel the need to go as quick. It will slow down and it will lick like Bertha. See how every time I put my finger there, she's licking? She's just sensing me. She knows, oh, that's dad. I love dad. I'm safe. I don't need to run. I always recommend, you know, working on top or over a surface, but especially when they're young, hold it in its vivarium where it's still getting the same smells and it's not a completely new environment. Then once the gecko's built up enough confidence that you know it's chilling on your arm in the vivarium, then bring it out and have it in a safe place like a massive large tub, a bathtub, just somewhere where it can't escape and definitely can't injure itself. After that, then maybe it's ready for you to just hold in general, but just make sure the gecko sees that you're there first prior to picking it up, because if not, the gecko's going to get very scared, it's going to jolt off and run, and you're just going to create more problems. This gecko just hatched out 3 days ago. When I clean them out, this is how I move them. We're just going to scoop him up onto my hand like that, let him come on. There we go. See how he wants to run straight away, and we're going to keep him above his enclosure so it's not going to hurt itself. But this is literally a 3-day-old gecko. See how much more they move quickly? See how they're darting over the place? This might be what your gecko's like if you buy it. A lot more quicker, a lot more agile. And to be honest with you, this one isn't even that bad. Like, there are a lot worse ones out there. But like, as I said, because I do this from day one, I clean them literally every 3 days. So every 3 days they have a handling session like this. That's why they're so tame. Obviously he's going to climb, so just follow the gecko. Don't force it to go anywhere. And like, he'll get used to where he wants to go. And you'll get used to the like how quick they'll move and the pace they move. But as you, there we go. See that darting then. So I'm basically just letting him walk on my hands. See how he turned away? That's how unsure he is. He feels safe on the surface he's on right now. I put my hand here. He's not going to want to walk on it. He's going to decide to go over here. That's how you can see this gecko isn't at the tamest level he will be. If you've got a sleeve, be careful because they will want to go up their sleeve. As I said earlier, I never handle my geckos this much at this age. I'm just trying to show you guys literally how to do it. Like, I would never hold it for this long. I'm just demonstrating to you guys of a gecko that will dart around. There's adult geckos that will be a lot worse than this, but you get the point. The next thing is, if the gecko doesn't want to walk on your hand, then try hand feeding it. Because at the same time of it getting food, it's also getting used to your smell and your hand being in its enclosure. Never squeeze your gecko because you want it to stay still in your hand or anything else like that. You'll find that the more you hold your gecko and the more you let it explore, the less it will want to explore and the more it will become like Bertha and just want to chill. And then once it's completely chilled like this, I would say then you're ready to then, you know, get your gecko and put your gecko like on here, like Bertha. But never let the gecko come above here, above your shoulder, like where Bertha's about to go. Grab her now under her arms gently. Lift her off and reposition her. Keep her on your arms, never let them go above your shoulders, and if you are keeping them on your body and holding them on your body, make sure your hands are always there for support, and make sure you've always got someone else in the room with you, because if you miss the chance of grabbing them and they've gone around your back, you are putting the animal in danger and it's not worth the risk. Now if you've got a gecko that bites, You've got to understand that the gecko is just trying to protect itself. And this is why I recommend getting it from somewhere, from a baby, because 9 times out of 10, if your gecko bites you, it really hasn't had the best husbandry. I've only been bit by other people's geckos, and my gecko only has ever bit me once, and that's because she had eggs and she was literally about to lay them the day before, and obviously I didn't know how close she was to laying. She got uncomfortable while I was holding her and she bit me. She was absolutely fine afterwards, and as I said, the other geckos that have bit me have come from other people's geckos. Or wherever the gecko bit you, you're just going to end up with a red mark. It's not the end of the world, and you shouldn't overreact and jolt away from the gecko, because that could injure the gecko. They have very, very delicate bone structures, so you've got to understand to be careful with them. I know it's our instinct as humans to like pull away, but you've just got to remind yourself, let's not pull away. The gecko will soon realize it's not in a stressful environment, it overreacted, and now it just let go. So if your gecko does bite, just follow the same steps. And if you're not confident with them steps because you're afraid of still getting hurt, I understand a lot of people don't really want to go through getting bit by the animal. So if you've been bitten by your gecko before, go back a few steps. Go to step 1, just put your hand in there, or maybe just open the enclosure and put the scent in there, get it used to it. But always remember in the back of your head, I know it sounds silly, but go in there expected to be bitten. If you expect it, it's not a surprise. I know a lot of people that with reptiles, they're like, well, if it bites you, don't put it down because then you're showing it that's how it can win. No, that's not really how it works. You really need to read the animal's language, body language, before even getting to that stage. If that animal is that stressed out, you should be taking it way more slower and not rushing into things. Because if you're getting bit by your leopard gecko and you're still holding it after, then at that point you're just stressing the animal out and it's never going to enjoy human interaction. Read the gecko's body language. If it's stressed, then put it back. This is what I mean when I say, she's just exploring. She's going to lick around. She's going to flick her tongue. See, there's the tongue lick. And she's just chilling out and she's slow. If this was a gecko that didn't want to be here, it wouldn't be on my arm anymore. It would be probably on the table and run away. Just take your time with them. I'll show you now. Scoop under their bellies like that, so you're supporting their whole body weight. And see how calm and relaxed that was for her. She was even licking the air as I was doing it. If you have any more questions, or maybe you have some techniques that I've missed in this video, please put them down in the comment section below. Always going to reply. I'm always there for you. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I hope this helps. I love Bertha, you love Bertha, and yeah, you'll get there. It takes time, and don't rush it. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one.